This is horrible.
Yeah. No more videos the next day. We gotta do
Oh
them
my
right away.
god.
Hi,
Hi,
I'm Jen,
I'm Corey.
and we are
Deep, dark, and scary.
Welcome to our channel. If you have never been here before, welcome back. If you have been, we appreciate you. And if you haven't been, please like and subscribe and
Smash the bell!
smash that bell for notifications of when we post videos, which has been fairly regular on this channel. Um,
One a week.
one a week.
Well, twice last week.
This is true. Sometimes we get some other ideas and we'll post a random video extra. And if we have time, especially if we have some extra time.
We're
So
busy people.
we are busy people. Got a lot going on. Tune into our other channel, Corey and Jen Do Stuff, for a little update maybe later this week. Anyways, what are we doing today?
We are doing week... Oh my goodness, is this week 6 already?
Oh yeah, it's got to be pretty close, huh?
Of the Cult Movie Challenge, yeah.
Yeah, and it was Bruce Lee week, and
Bruce
my
Lee.
pick.
Bruceploitation.
Oh yeah, exploitation.
And when Jen went to pick this movie, she actually picked she went Bruceception. There was a guy named Bruce Lee, but it was spelled L-E.
But so,
And it had a very similar name.
but just to backtrack, I was having trouble picking anyways because most of the movies listed were documentaries about Bruce Lee, about his life, about his family, about his death. Like, there wasn't many of his actual movies to choose from. And the ones that were there, I had already seen. So I was really having trouble. And I did find a movie that I thought when I read, there wasn't really a trailer, but I read a little bit, the little blurb about it. And I thought it looked interesting. And I thought, oh, this will be a great movie to watch. And... Okay, I'm not giving it away or anything. Well, I am giving it away. Who am I fooling? We are going to have spoilers for this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed the movie. Just gonna say this up front. I really liked the movie. There is some strange things about the movie that actually make me like it a little bit more because
I think it might be a great movie now that I've read a little more about it after watching it.
yeah, when we went to do research for this video, right, to see like budget and box office and all that stuff, we try to research that before we tell you guys about the movie. We found out some more interesting facts about the movie afterwards, and even if not as interesting as when we were watching it, we noticed some weird things. Now we know why. So
We are doing
I
Bruce
chose
Lee's unfinished, reshot, final movie, Game of Death. And this movie, there was a lot of foreshadowing about Bruce Lee's actual death.
not
near
what
as much,
happened
not
to
what
him,
happened, yeah.
but
Probably
it
more
was
what happened to his son. Yeah.
who was one of my favorites, Brandon Lee, the Crow, rest in peace, dude. He was amazing. That's one of my ultimate favorite movies ever. It was definitely strange to watch in that aspect, but yeah, just wait till you hear some of the stuff about the movie.
So, Game of Death, Bruce Lee started shooting in 71 or 72, and he had a budget of $850,000, which in the kung fu genre was unprecedented at the time. He only actually got 11... Well, he filmed over 100 minutes of footage, and it was mostly the final scenes of the movie that he had shot. And then he went to work on Enter the Dragon?
Mm-hmm.
Is it Enter the Dragon, or was it? Yes, Enter the Dragon.
Yeah.
I was thinking Enter the Fist for some reason. Enter the Dragon. And then during the filming of that movie, he had made plans to like resume shooting Game of Death after he was finished with Enter the Dragon, and he ended up passing away
from an aneurysm.
Yeah, in
or embolism.
Edema, cerebral edema.
Edema. That's right.
During the filming of Enter the Dragon. So the director from Enter the Dragon actually picked up and
finished the movie.
Yeah. And in this movie, they actually used scenes from Bruce Lee's actual funeral for the funeral scene in this movie,
which was
very weird,
really weird.
Mm-hmm.
And they actually only used 11 minutes of footage
out of the 100 minutes of footage
he filmed.
There was a lot of footage from previous movies, like
they took footage from some of his other movies and spliced it into this movie, which actually kind of worked. Basically, it melded with the story, so it worked.
Mm-hmm.
It was weird,
but it
worked.
So, and I was actually wondering, because there's a lot of scenes where Bruce Lee is wearing sunglasses at night. And
Everybody is, though.
And I'm going, why is he wearing sunglasses at night? This isn't a Corey Hart song.
Don't switch the blade on the guy and shades of gold.
And I think it's because it was a double. And they were trying to, like, not give away the face so much. Now that I've read about it, I'm just like, this is stupid. He's wearing sunglasses driving a car at night. Like, why? But
the little things Corey was like, I can't believe he's wearing sunglasses.
Yeah.
All right. So the movie, the gist of the movie is they think someone is trying to kill him on a movie set.
The syndicate.
Or they know the syndicate is trying to...
which is like the Yakuza
threaten
or
him to sign contracts so they make money off of him.
Yeah.
And he's dating another singer that they're doing the same thing to.
Mm-hmm.
So this syndicate is the bad guy, and Bruce Lee fakes his death to try and get at them. And it goes awry from there.
Yeah, like in the opening scene, he's fighting Chuck Norris. Amazing. A very
it's a great
healthy
scene.
Young Chuck Norris, which was actually from another movie. Chuck Norris wasn't even scheduled to be in this movie.
He's listed as
an actor. Yeah. And it's for this fight scene in this movie that Bruce Lee's filming. And then
for this movie.
Yeah, he's Billy Lowe.
Yeah.
And he's an actor. Yeah. So, and then this light like falls, and they're like, "Oh, that was right where you were standing."
And then he walks away like, "I'm aware."
Yeah, and
he just keeps
goes
walking.
to his dressing room, and then
the
in the dressing room, the
guy is in there,
and he's trying to force him to sign this contract. And there's this really awkward scene where they did not have CGI back then. So they cut out a picture of Bruce Lee's face.
And you could tell. Specifically,
it was so awkward, yes.
It was a cutout. And it didn't even match, like the neck didn't match. Like you could definitely tell.
And then they just like put it on there.
And just for maybe
and the
3
guy's
seconds.
neck's like moving.
And
I just stopped because Jen was doing something else. And I'm like, did you see that? There was horrible cutout. And she's like, no, I didn't see that. And I'm like, I rewound it. I'm
like 3 seconds.
Yeah.
They just flash on his face, but it stays there long enough so you could tell that you could see all the edges. The colors didn't match the background. It was bad. And then the movie just kind of goes on from there. But you could tell, like Corey noticed the sunglasses all the time. I noticed the face shape. Because Bruce Lee has a very elongated face, And both doubles had very round Asian faces.
Mm-hmm.
And it was noticeably different.
More noticeable in the very last, like
Towards the end.
in the fight scene at the end. There was
Yeah.
like, I don't know if any of you ever played the Kung Fu Nintendo game, but you like start out on a floor and then you fight all the way to the end and then you go up a floor and then you fight your way across and you go up a floor and you fight your way across. And it was like that type of deal. I mean, it reminded me of Kung Fu from Nintendo. So yeah.
Okay, but we're not at the end yet.
No.
So,
but I'm just, yeah. Sorry, I'm getting way ahead of myself. So
basically, Bruce pisses off the syndicate and they're like, we're going to have to shake him down harder. And so then they start threatening his girlfriend and they corner them. There's a fight scene with Bruce Lee and 7 other Kung Fu artists that are
on
part of the
motorcycles.
syndicate. Yeah.
And they never take off their helmets, and they have
the
sunglass type
visor
dark,
thing.
darkened visors.
That's why I wasn't even thinking about the sunglasses he was wearing. I was like,
These guys are
have
driving motorcycles
huge,
around at night.
very jet black, very dark visors. All right, whatever. And
They all
it
have
was
a-
raining in one. I'm like,
yeah.
it's raining and it's dark and you're wearing. Okay, it's a movie. It's a movie. It's a movie. I have to tell myself it's a movie. So they're basically just trying to shake him down, and from this point until right before something happens to Bruce Lee's character, it's very slow moving. There's a lot of conversations that probably don't need to take place. There's a lot of nothing. The syndicate's like doing things with other people and has nothing to do with Billy Lowe, who is Bruce Lee's character, their story. And so Billy Lowe shows up for work this one day, and it happens to be a bunch of people have to shoot blanks into the air, and then he's supposed to fall on the mattress like he got shot. Well, one of the syndicate gentlemen is there, and he... Sticks is his name.
Choose on matchsticks.
Yeah. He switches out the blank for an actual bullet and shoots him. Mm-hmm. And it grazes his face. So they decide, which is this newspaper reporter,
Newspaper editor or whatever.
Yeah, they don't explain how they know him. They just, like, Bruce Lee's character and his girlfriend and this newspaper dude are all really good friends. They all have known each other for a long time, it seems, because he knows everything that's going on, and he's the one that decides and tells the doctor, you're going to do this surgery on his face and we're going to have a big fake funeral, and that's it. Like,
and
that's what's going to happen.
His girlfriend.
We're not going to tell his girlfriend.
Yeah.
It was weird.
So
and Billy was in on it. Like, Bruce Lee's character was in on it. He was one of the ones that said, yes, I want to do this. So he knew about the plan, obviously.
Well, he wanted his girlfriend to go back to America. He wanted her out of the way.
He didn't want the syndicate
to get her. So
yeah.
I think that's why he didn't want her to know that he was still alive.
Right. Which is fine, but no one else knew but the newspaper reporter and this doctor. Mm-hmm. And then they have this funeral,
which is Bruce Lee's actual funeral.
Weird. They show him in
walking by the casket,
and it's very surreal watching that, because it's very, like, you can tell when it goes from, the filming style reminds me of old Elvis movies. I love those. Though anyone that knows me knows I love Elvis. But it flips, right? And like, just like that, you're watching a funeral. Mm-hmm. And it's like
news footage. It's
weird. It's grainy, and the people are just different, right? And it's odd. So they fake the funeral. And then Bruce Lee, gets out of surgery, and his face doesn't look that much different, except you could tell it's a double. It's not really him. Mm-hmm. And he's got a big scar where the bullet grazed his cheek. And that's about it. like, I don't think, oh, his nose.
Yeah,
But-
he got a little spot.
But
yeah.
I mean, it's a double, so you can't really tell, like, there's any difference. But, yeah, and then it's basically Bruce goes after the syndicate and follows them around.
They go to another
They go to
Macau.
an island.
Yeah, because there's
Macau,
supposed to
yeah.
be a martial arts event, and this guy
And they're
who's like
taking
a-
bets. They're making money off people losing, right?
Yeah. And the guy, one of the guys that's fighting is actually one of the henchmen for the syndicate.
He was originally supposed to fight Billy Lowe, who is now dead, so they had to find somebody else to fight him. And Billy goes after them in Macau or Macau, however you say that, and tries to get the doctor, who is the head of the syndicate, and chokes him out a little bit, but doesn't quite kill him. And so now they're on.
Oh, and
now,
he's wearing like a disguise. He's got like
Yeah,
he's got like
he
this
wa-
thin
like
beard and
broke
mustache.
into his old acting trailer and stole this beard and mustache that was on. It was kind of.
He was sitting there drawing on the picture of Bruce Lee, and he's
Yeah.
like, "This is
Drawing
my
a
new look."
mustache
He's
and a beard.
drawing a
It was-
mustache and
it
a
was
beard,
kind of funny.
and sunglasses.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Can't forget the sunglasses.
And then when he jumps the fence and he attacks the doctor, the doctor.
Yeah, they call him Doctor. He's just the head of the syndicate.
And then they think they might know who he is.
They're like, he looks really familiar. Did you think he looked familiar? Yeah, he looked familiar. Like they
a
all
lot
like
of talking.
10 minutes of he looked really familiar. I could have swore whatever.
And then Billy shows up at the martial arts event later on that night, but he's got
Like a
like
Fu Manchu.
yeah, he's got like gray hair and a gray beard.
Really long mustache.
And his girlfriend shows up, and she's got a gun in her purse, and she's gonna just take care of him right there. And he sees her,
And he stops her from doing it.
stops her, and he whispers in her ear that don't do it. What's gonna be done is gonna be taken care of, or whatever. And she turns around, and he's already gone. And she's, oh, I heard Billy. And they end up, the henchman for the syndicate ends up winning, and then he goes to his locker room. He meets his new girlfriend.
Yeah, they're all celebrating with a ton of champagne, and he's like, I gotta go take a shower, and you all just talk to my new girlfriend.
Yeah.
Just this weird blonde lady that just happened to be in the back.
And so he goes in there to take a shower, and Billy ends up fighting him in the locker room and
kills him.
It was a great fight scene, though.
It was really good.
Yeah. It
I
was
don't know that it was Bruce Lee, but it was really
It was good. Then they realize, they finally get in there, and he's already dead, and Bruce Lee's gone. Bruce Lee takes off back to mainland or wherever. He tries to go back after the syndicate again, wants to let his girlfriend know, like, hey, everything's okay.
He has an idea that she knows, right? And she got put into a mental institution for a little while, just before the fight, because she was so devastated that he had died that she literally kind of drove herself insane. And then so the syndicate shows up there, and she really freaked out, and that's what made her bring the gun to the fight.
Oh yeah.
So Billy knows about this, so he's like, I need to talk to her. So he tells the newspaper guy, who's now the middleman of everybody. So Billy tells the newspaper guy, have her meet me at this school, and I need to talk to her and let her know she needs to leave and blah, blah, blah. Well, I don't know, 1970s Hong Kong, wherever they're supposed to be, has wiretapping, because they knew where they were going to be. And well, they had tails on her anyway. Like, they had been following her this whole
Every time either one of them made a move, there was someone there.
Those henchmen that were on bikes that Billy was fighting earlier, like, there was at least 2 of them following her everywhere. So they knew where she was at all times. So then they radio back to Doctor that they're together and they're talking, and we think Billy's alive. So that's when they decide, maybe it is Billy, maybe it's not. Because I was at that funeral. I saw him in the casket, blah, blah, blah. Doctor says, go dig him up.
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
So they go, and the guy's got like a a cane with a dog's head, like a Labrador's head on it, and if you like
He pushes the ears.
and it
shoots a dagger out the bottom.
A little dagger comes out the bottom of the cane, so then he pushes it up against the face, and it's ceramic. So I would not do that.
No. So then they know for sure Billy's alive, and he's coming after them, right? So then they try this elaborate setup where let's use the girlfriend as bait because she wasn't smart enough to leave when he told her to 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
Like, she didn't leave, so let's just go get her. So they go and pick her up, bring her to a warehouse. Then they call the newspaper dude, and they're like, you tell Billy, we know he's going to call you at 10 p.m. So you tell him he needs to meet us at this warehouse at 1 a.m. to get his girlfriend, and we're going to switch 1 for 1. We'll let her go, and we're going to keep him. And he passes on the message, obviously. Billy calls right at 10 and blah, blah, blah. So here starts a fight scene that was really freaking good. And I was really hoping it was Bruce Lee, and I can almost guarantee it was not. But it was really good.
Well, okay, so in the beginning when they're doing so he puts on a helmet at one point because they're in the thing, and he goes and gets his girlfriend and he sets her aside, and the motorcycle guys decide that they're going to just drive their motorcycles into the building instead of just running in.
And just drive in circles around the boxes that are in there.
So Bruce Lee, like, drop kicks one of them and
snaps his neck, and then takes
his helmet and his jumpsuit, and it's like a Kill Bill yellow and black jumpsuit. But he puts the helmet on. So then I'm thinking that, like, most of these fight scenes in there are not Bruce Lee.
But they were still really
good. They
good.
were still good. And he takes out all the motorcycle guys. And then he figures out one of them, Sticks is outside. It's raining. And he ends up driving up and grabbing the gun from him and knocking him to the ground. And he asks him where the doctor is. And he's like, Red Pepper. And it's this Red Pepper restaurant.
He lives above this,
so he knows
Red Pepper restaurant
where to go. So he goes in and goes through the back. And I think most of this fight scene is actually Bruce Lee, because this is where they said that they did the majority of the filming for the movie before he passed away. I do have to say, it was probably not the fight was my least favorite, but the end was my least favorite. It seemed to take forever. Every floor was a boss fight. Yeah. And if any of you play video games, like, boss fights take forever. Yeah. Like, it's going to take him a while to take down whoever he's fighting. But it took forever. But, like, the first guy he comes across is this guy with an older gentleman. Rambo, like, bandana thing. And he had, like, Billy shows up and he's got like a green switch that looks like a humongous green Elder Wand. And it really does. The guy's got some nunchucks, so Billy takes, he's got some sticks. And so they fight with those for a while. He takes his little Elder Wand and he like whips him across. He puts an X on his forehead. X on his forehead. And then he ends up getting the sticks away from him, and then the guy has nunchucks from somewhere. They magically appear. And so Billy's got a bag with some nunchucks. Yeah. And then they... Oh, yeah. And the guy's like nunchucks are red, and Billy's just happened to be yellow because he's wearing the yellow and black jumpsuit. Mm-hmm. And they do this awesome little nunchuck fight. And... It was more showing off than anything. They barely awesome. Hit each other with them. Well, even appeared to hit, right? But, yeah, it was awesome. It was pretty good. And then after he gets that guy... He literally takes a breath and then runs up to the next... Goes up to the next floor. And the next floor is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. No, he was the 3rd floor. There was another Chinese guy. Oh. That was the bigger dude, remember? Okay, yeah. But it was like I am not a kung fu. I know nothing. But it was a different form of kung fu. Like
So the first level was nunchucks and sticks, and the second floor was this just odd kung fu, a lot of hitting in the abdomen and stuff like that.
Oh,
And
yeah,
then he
yeah.
got him with the neck. He did something to his neck. And then once he finished that one, then he was fighting
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Hakim.
And so this version, I think in the original version, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar did not wear a shirt. Because I've seen a lot of pictures where he's not wearing a shirt and him and
Yeah,
Bruce Lee
we've
are
seen
fighting.
a lot of like contradictory statements and photos as far as like what was actually done and if they had filmed multiple versions. We
Kareem
don't know.
Abdul-Jabbar, I did read that he did not want to be involved with the reshoot. And they actually changed I think his name was originally Mantis, and they changed it to Hakeem. And maybe the guy was wearing sunglasses, but he wore this blue shirt. It was awkward looking as all get out, and it did not look like any of the other pictures that I saw of that fight scene.
No, but the gentleman that they used, if it wasn't Kareem Abdul-Jabbar,
He was tall.
looked just like him.
Yeah.
Or very similar. I don't know him. I don't follow basketball. Like I've seen photos of
I
the
thought it was a
guy,
good
but it was a very good likeness.
If it wasn't him, it was a good double, because I couldn't tell until I read that he didn't want to be part of it.
Yeah.
So they fight, and like this Kareem's so
And
tall.
this is a very long fight because Kareem literally a couple of times just kicks him all the way across the room because his legs are so long, or pushes him away because his arms are so long. Like, it's a very long and intense fight scene with with Hakeem.
Yeah, and then he finally gets him down, and he beats him.
And he is super tired by this point, mind you. He, like, you can tell, double Bruce Lee. I'm thinking, just from a lot of the filming, it really looked like Bruce Lee.
I think that one was Bruce Lee, and then the guy with the cane comes down the stairs, and he's yelling for Hakeem, and Bruce Lee like grabs him through the stairs by the back of the leg, and then that fight was very awkward because I think some of it was Bruce Lee and some of it was a double because the faces changed in the fight. The guy had more of a rounded face than Bruce Lee.
Very round. Like that one, that's where I was really like, oh my goodness.
And the makeup was poor for the bruises. It was, the consistency of the bruising was not the same on his face.
It was a little comical at the end at that point with the makeup and the facial features, but by this point we're ready for the movie to be over. So it got a little lengthy. Like I said, there was that one major time in the movie towards the beginning, after probably about half hour in, 25 minutes, half hour in. There's a good half hour there where nothing happens. And Corey's like, it's time for a fight. It's time for a fight. This is a Bruce Lee movie. It's time for a fight.
Yeah.
And then one happened, right?
Yeah.
But for as good of a movie as I thought it was, I was even at the point where this has to be over. This has to be done.
Jen liked the story of the movie.
I did.
And I thought the story was a little talky. And
For a Bruce Lee movie, I would agree, because I love Fists of Fury and Enter the Dragon. Oh my goodness, I love those movies, and there's not a lot of talky in those. So
yeah, she liked the story, whereas like I liked the fights. Like he got to bitch slap Chuck Norris.
he did too.
Chuck Norris doesn't sleep; he waits. It's Chuck Norris and
Okay, we're not talking about Chuck Norris.
Bruce
now.
Lee.
Finish the movie.
Bitch slap Chuck Norris. So
Okay.
yeah.
Finish the movie.
Okay. So yeah, he's fighting the guy with the cane, and he gets him, and he goes up to the last floor, and the doctor's sitting there at his desk, and his wrists are cut, and there's a pool of obviously fake blood there. And she's even like, no, that's not how he
That's not
went
him.
out. Yeah. And so Bruce Lee goes over, fake Bruce Lee at this point, goes over and he knocks his head off, and it's just a fake head. And the doctor is like escaping through the back.
Into like a secret room. And there's a mirror on the wall. And you can tell it's like a double-sided mirror.
So
and he notices too. And he's like...
So he goes and jumps through the window.
Through it.
And then goes out and the guy's like trying to get away. And
they're up on the roof at this point.
And the guy...
And the doctor is like trying to get on the fire escape ladder. And then Billy Lowe, Bruce Lee's character, is chasing after him and tries to kick him off the ladder, and he succeeds.
And he falls like umpteen
through
hundred
a few
stories
neon lights and
down. Yeah,
like it was like a pinball machine. It's like he kept hitting everything on the way down.
And then
and then literally then the credits roll.
Yeah,
like you don't know what happens to his girlfriend because she, in the middle of the fight
with the motorcycle guys
in the warehouse, she just leaves. He told her, he's like, sit here, stay here, don't move, no matter what you hear or what you see, stay here. And she just up and left. And the last you see of her, she's running down the street in the rain. And that's it. Like, the credits roll at the end of the movie. You have no idea. Although, there is a game of death, too.
There is.
It is not Bruce Lee. It's not even Bruce Lee people that do this movie. It is Bruce Lee with the L-E.
Well, that one was the curse.
No.
Of the game of
Enter
the game of death.
Enter the game of death.
Is the Bruce.
But it says based on Game of Death.
Yeah.
Yeah, a continuation, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, what is this? I was trying to ask Corey because I didn't notice the last name was spelled different until he pointed it out. And I was like, oh, that makes sense because this looks awful. It was bad.
Yeah, the Game of Death 2 says it has Bruce Lee. It's also known as Tower of Death or New Game of Death. And it was marketed as a sequel, but it says most scenes are taken from Enter the Dragon.
Mm-hmm. So it's another one like
it's
this
like
one
cut,
where they just chopped up a bunch of his movies and put them all together and made a new movie. Which this one wasn't bad.
No, this one was done pretty
bad.
good. And at the end of the movie, during the credits, they showed a bunch of clips from Bruce Lee movies.
Yeah, random, like, Bruce Lee movies, not this one.
But then there was, like, an obscenely long still of Bruce Lee just sitting there, like kind of thinking or whatever, and it didn't even come up and say in memory of Bruce Lee or anything. It just him.
I was kind of surprised about that as well, but to each their own, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyways, I really liked it. I give it a thumbs up. It reminded
the fight scenes a thumbs up.
The fight scenes were pretty freaking awesome.
Great.
The story, like I said, and the filming itself reminded me of an old Elvis movie and a little bit of Bruce Lee's older movies. The storyline reminded me a lot of Face Off without the cops involved, because they try to base it around faking his death and changing his face, which morbidly works because he passed away, but it's kind of sad too in that fact. Right. So it was a little depressing, but I liked the movie a lot. So it was a little long-winded in some parts, but if you can get through that, text a few friends or whatever. It doesn't affect the story if you miss it. If you use that time to go get a snack or run to the restroom, it ain't gonna hurt anything.
Yeah.
So I liked it.
So when we were looking for this movie, we couldn't find it on any of our streaming platforms that we had.
Oh yeah, we had to pay for it.
Yeah, well, we didn't have to pay for it initially. But we have
oh yeah, that's right.
We have like Amazon Prime, and we have the Netflix and the Hulu and Vudu and
YouTube and Disney Plus,
and the YouTube cut was all in Spanish. So if you can speak Spanish, then you can watch it on YouTube.
Watch it on YouTube. You can see a lot of the fight scenes alone on YouTube. There was, because when we were looking for it, we actually found like the fight scene with Hakeem or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. We found the fight scene with Chuck Norris. A lot of
maybe someone's done a supercut where it's just the fight scenes from the movie, and that would be.
I mean, you legit just see the whole movie and fight scenes.
Yeah.
You know, we did see that on YouTube, but in order to watch the movie from beginning to end, we had to.
We got a CBS.
Pass.
Whatever CBS's streaming service is. And it was 7 days.
But we just
free.
did the 7 days for free, and canceled right after the movie.
So we watched it for free on CBS, and then as long as we cancel.
So if you have that already, you can watch it anytime you want. If it's something you're into, if it's something you think you would like, it's definitely not a bad movie.
So,
what's next week?
Next week is Lucio Fulci week, and it's my week.
That's all him.
So Lucio Fulci is an Italian film director. He did Zombie, Zombie 2, Zombie 3. I think there might have been a Zombie 4. He's
Dracula, I saw.
He's done a lot of movies. House by the Cemetery, New York Rebirth, The Beyond.
Yay. Back to a horror movie, maybe.
So, I think and you can tell me in the comments if I'm wrong. From what I know, I think Zombie is an Italian. So, Italy, they used to do kind of knockoffs of movies. When I say knockoffs, some of them were really good movies. But they would do like sequels. I think there was like a Jaws sequel over there at one time that had nothing to do with the Jaws storyline. But I think Zombie was the Italian sequel to Night of the Living Dead or
one of those.
Or Day of the Dead or Dawn of the Dead. I don't remember. It's supposed to be a sequel in the Living Dead series. And
that'd be cool. I'd be down to watch
and
that.
I know that my friend Steve, who watches this channel, has seen Zombie. I don't know that I have seen Zombie. So maybe I'll look through and see, but maybe that will be one that we watch just because it's heralded as a great movie.
I'm excited for next week. That'll be good.
I am. We get back into some horror.
Yes.
We've been on Kung Fu for 2 weeks now, so...
Yeah, I'm over it.
Yeah.
Not that I don't love a good Kung Fu movie every once in a while. 2 in a row is...
Right.
My year is done. I'm good.
And we're still doing like
I'll probably
Game of
watch
Thrones,
another one.
And we finished another rewatch of Harry Potter recently, and
Yep.
yeah, usually after we watch a movie, it's especially one that's a bad movie, we have to cleanse our palate, like maybe some Bob's Burgers or something, or like just put on something that we don't have to pay a lot of attention
Right?
to.
We don't have to think about it. Just entertainment. That's all it is. It's pretty good.
And stay tuned because I think maybe Monday or Tuesday, sometime this week, we'll have another Harry Potter recast.
Yes.
Philosopher's Stone,
Yes.
Sorcerer's Stone, depending on where you are in the world.
Philosopher's Stone. Always.
All right. Well, I'd like to thank you guys for tuning in. And
Thank you very much. We appreciate each and every one of you.
tell your friends. Help us grow the channel.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do more videos if we get more subscribers.
Love to do a haunted house for you guys.
Ooh.
There's
Real or fake?
Well, there's a couple listed on Airbnb and Vrbo that I've been looking at. That would be awesome to go stay a night and see if anything
San
happens.
Antonio isn't too far away, and they have,
They have
a lot
haunted
of
hotels.
Yeah, they have haunted hotels.
That would be awesome.
All
Share
right.
with your friends. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.